were the ancient Egyptians anti-Semites? After all, the Egyptians did enslave the Israelites, and they even engaged in anti-Semitic tropes. It sounds funny, but there is a certain echo between the events of the Old Testament and modern anti-Semitism, as Jordan Peterson explains in his new book, We Who Wrestle with God. Namely, they couldn't be trusted, they are perfidious, and would even side with an enemy against their host country, Joseph. First, let's not forget that the Jews, or at least Joseph, was once the benefactor to the Egyptians because he warned them about a coming drought. Joseph interprets the Pharaoh's dream as to mean 7 years of plenitude would be followed by 7 years of drought. Although Joseph was brought to Egypt as a slave, he becomes a very powerful and useful person in Egypt, the new Pharaoh. But then the Jews become too powerful in the eyes of the Egyptians, or too numerous at any rate. The new Pharaoh says, quote, "Behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we." They feared the Israelites would betray them and side with the enemy, which the Pharaoh considered a threat. The Pharaoh says in Exodus, "Let us deal wisely with them, unless they multiply, and it comes to pass, when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies, and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land." And the Pharaoh is slow to change his mind to release the Jews. A tyrant doesn't like to change his mind, Peterson would say. And the Lord said unto Moses, Go in unto Pharaoh, for I have hardened his heart and the hearts of his servants, that I might show these my signs before him. Peterson makes the connection with how people view Jews negatively today. Quote, "First, the ancient Jews have the temerity to be successful, even though they are strangers in a strange land. Second, those who agitate against the Israelites foster hatred against them as a potential fifth column and justify this aggression as preemptive self-protection. So the suspicion that the ancient Egyptians held against the Israelites is like a foreshadow for what would happen to the Jewish people in many different countries, not to mention the Holocaust. And if we take the Old Testament literally, we can say that the ancient Egyptians were ingrates because, don't forget, Joseph, a Hebrew, saved their stones by telling them to save up grain for the coming drought. A couple generations later, and a new Pharaoh enslaved them. But God noticed what was happening. And the Lord said, I have surely seen the affliction of my people who are in Egypt, and have heard their cry by reason of their taskmasters. And to be fair, that's just the Israeli account as we have it in the Bible. All we have from the ancient Egyptians are some vague hieroglyphics, which seem to confirm the presence of Jews in the area at the time, at least. It's certainly a beautiful story, and being so literate, the Israelites seem to have the final word. They kind of wrote the history, a history in which they were victimized by the Egyptians. Well, that's what it says in Exodus anyway.